Today, in the United States, and certainly in the Reformed Jewish world, women count. Our past president and current president of Temple are women. Until Mildred Schwartz became the first female president of Tennessee's oldest synagogue, sisterhood was the only forum for female leadership at temples across America. Every woman stands on the shoulders of the women who came before them, including the Jewish women who had to fight for or earn the rights that many of us take for granted. The irony of this week's Torah portion, Ki Tisa, Exodus 32, is that it means, get this, when you count the men. Women weren't even counted in the census. Women still are not counted in Orthodox prayer minions. And when the National Federation of Temple Sisterhood was founded 100 years ago, think about this. Women could not even vote. America is not a country where women are denied basic civil rights. As my childhood camp friend Sheryl Sandberg writes in her new book, Lean In. Did you know worldwide, 4.4 million women and girls are trapped in the sex trade? In too many countries around the world, girls receive little or no education, and wives are treated literally as the property of their husbands. Now, a lot of Americans like us who are spoiled tune out because we're centuries ahead of the unspeakable mistreatment of women in other parts of the world. But here's the point. Knowing that things could be worse should not stop us from trying to make things better. As the world focuses this week on Pope Benedict's successor, the glaring picture, in my mind, is that only men, older men, will be deciding the church's future, not even one woman. Before the Pope's retirement, what did you watch on Sunday night? The Oscars. Everyone's talking about the gaffes and the faceplant of an actress. Few of us know about the Academy Award-nominated documentary, The Invisible War. Look it up. This gripping documentary documents, through interviews, the thousands of women in our armed forces, some men too, but virtually all women, who are sexually violated by male superiors. The film reveals that when these female servicewomen report being raped, they receive even more humiliation and degradation that drives more than a few to attempting suicide. Why? One female Coast Guard officer who was raped by a male superior, she reported him, and she was told by the commanding officer, while the man agreed that he hit her, it was during the course of consensual sex. So he would be written up for striking a subordinate officer, but not a sexual offense if she wished to proceed. Sheryl Sandberg, this friend, Reformed Jewish woman herself, doesn't write about that horror in her book, Lean In. But thank God, this week the White House and the Senate prevailed in passing the Violence Against Women Act, assisting victims of domestic and sexual violence. But Sandberg's focus is different. Her simple idea is that if we only tapped the entire pool of human resources and talent, including the 50% who are female, our performance as a society would only improve. She argues further that having more women in leadership positions will result not only in a fairer world, but a better world and a more prosperous world. I share her unshakable conviction. And you know what? So does Reform Judaism. That's why we're so involved with Alan Lightman and Harpswell, which is changing the face of an entire nation, Cambodia, by empowering the top girls in that country to lead it. Most men are oblivious to the real obstacles women face in the professional world. Not just the sexism, subtle and blatant, not just the harassment and discrimination. Too few workplaces offer the flexibility and access to childcare and parental leave that are necessary if you're going to pursue a career while raising children. Men have an easier time finding the mentors and the sponsors, like on the golf course, for career progression. 2011, I'm not giving you ancient history, 2011 McKinsey report showed that women in the workplace have to prove themselves to a far greater extent than men do. I want to quote to you Cheryl's words. "We women hold ourselves back in ways both big and small, by lacking self-confidence, by not raising our hands, and by pulling back when we should be leaning in." It's the title of the book. "We internalize the negative message we get throughout our lives. Let the man talk. The messages that says it's wrong to be outspoken, aggressive, or even more powerful than men. This issue of empowering girls and women is, in my view, the global civil rights issue of our lifetime. It transcends women and men. It transcends all of us. Let's face it, from the moment we are born, boys and girls are treated differently. Did you know Gymboree once sold onesies? I think that's what they call for one-year-olds. Onesies, which read, and they read now, "Smart like daddy" for boys, "Pretty like mommy" for girls. JCPenney once marketed a t-shirt to teenage girls that bragged, this is what appears on the t-shirt or appeared, "I'm too pretty to do my homework, so my brother has to do it for me." Guess when these popular items were marketed? Not 1951. They were bestsellers in 2011. These stereotypes are dangerous because the fact is, most women in America have no choice but to work full-time. I don't mean the middle and upper middle class Jewish community, although we do have poor Jews. Did you know that 41% of mothers in America, 41%, are the primary breadwinners, even as the stereotype of a working woman is hardly attractive? And yet the latest Brandeis University review of work-life balance found, get this, that women who work outside and inside the home, who participate in multiple roles, have lower levels of anxiety and higher levels of mental well-being. So why not call women who are professional successes like Rabbi Katie, why not call her a career-loving parent instead of a working mom? Ever notice that when a man is successful professionally in any field, he is liked by both men and women? An actor is successful, or a businessman, and there's something sexy about his success to women and envious and admirable to men. Think about this, though. When a woman is professionally successful, studies show that people of both genders like her less. This truth, Cheryl writes, is both shocking and unsurprising. Shocking because no one would ever admit to stereotyping on the basis of gender, and unsurprising because we do, clearly. Our stereotypes of men hold that they are providers, driven, decisive. Our stereotype of women hold that they are caregivers, sensitive, and communal. Stereotypes have to change, but the facts are in. 65% of married couple families with children in the United States have two parents working, with almost all relying on both incomes to support their household. And ready for this one? Just one more statistic. 31% of families with children are now led by a single parent. 85% of them are led by a woman. People ask me, why are you so caught up in this issue as a rabbi? Here's my answer, and this is a short sermon, but I've shared with you some of the facts. Forget about politics, your opinions, your conditioning, your economic wherewithal. Given the statistics I've just shared with you, how can a religious person of any faith not be focused on this issue? Now, I understand the importance of affinity groups and sisterhoods and brotherhoods. They've stopped sisterhoods in some congregations because they don't have same-gender groups in some places. But there is something about women sharing with women, men sharing with men. But whether women choose to work outside the home, inside the home, or both, I am convinced it is in everyone's interest, including and especially men, to encourage and support women for more than moral reasons. Why? Because women are the greatest untapped intellectual and economic factor in the world today. And when women are given the choice, when they're allowed and encouraged to shine, guess what happens? According to the most recent and well-respected study from Stanford and Brandeis and Harvard, satisfaction goes up for everyone. Everyone's happier, men as well as women. The only ones who are not happy are the less competent people holding on to power. But Harvard Business School made small adjustments to encourage a more equal environment, collaboration, and when they did that, satisfaction among MBA students catapulted among men and between classmates who would not naturally work together across gender and cultural lines. I'm going to close by saying this week's Torah portion begins, as I said, by counting men. The prophetic Haftorah reading from 1 Kings focuses on Elijah, the forerunner of the Messiah you're going to open your doors for 3 weeks from Monday when you celebrate Passover. Elijah, we're told by the last of the prophets, Malachi, is the one who said, Elijah will come when the hearts of parents and children are turned to one another. So when is that time? When is that time? When there'll be a oneness and equality, a mutual respect between people and among generations. When, as the poet Judy Chicago writes, when all that has divided us will merge, when softness will come to a world that is harsh and unkind, when both women and men will be gentle, and both women and men will be strong, when all will care for the sick and the weak and the old, when all will nourish the young and will live in harmony with each other, and then America and everywhere will be called Eden once again.